Ontario's finance minister is coming under fire after he recently left the country on vacation. Rod Phillips left on December 13th, 5 days after the provincial legislative session ended. Now, this comes despite health officials and his government urging people to stay home over the holidays. CBC's Hilary Johnstone has more now on what we know about the minister's trip.
Know that the finance minister is still out of the country. What we're told from his office is that he and his wife left on December 13th. So as you say, that's just a couple of days after the legislative session ended on December 8th. And they've taken this trip out of country, and we are told that they are still out of the country. His office is not saying where they are exactly, but they have said that he and his wife, that Rod Phillips and his wife, will quarantine for 14 days when they return back to the country. Now, his office has since clarified a few tweets. So even while he was out of the country, his official Twitter account was releasing tweets that made it seem as if he was maybe in the country, in Durham region. There's since been clarification to show that, in fact, he was not in the country when some of those tweets were released, and that he was out of the country at the time on that trip with his wife. Now, a while ago, Ontario's Associate Chief Medical Officer of Health, that's Dr. Barbara Yaffe, she was asked about this. She was asked for her thoughts on it. She started by saying that she couldn't comment on what the minister did or didn't do, but then she was pressed once again with a follow-up question asking what message it sends to people in Ontario if the province's finance minister is taking a trip at the same time that the province is in lockdown and that officials are actively encouraging people not to travel and to stay apart. Take a listen.
Obviously, I would prefer that people don't take a vacation at this time unless it's an essential reason to travel. And that's the message we keep telling people.
And Hannah, the NDP's deputy leader, Sarah Singh, so she has released a statement telling Ford that he shouldn't let Phillips off the hook. Part of that statement saying that, quote, these guys just think the rules don't apply to them. She mentioned the fact that a lot of Ontarians have had to stay apart from each other over the holidays, and that it doesn't send a good message if cabinet ministers are leaving the country.
Tracy Ramsey is a former Ontario NDP MP and joins me now. Tracy, thanks for breaking into your holiday for us. We appreciate that. Happy holiday to you. Let's start first. Who's in bigger trouble here? Rod Phillips, the finance minister, or even his boss, Premier Doug Ford?
Yeah, I think they're both in trouble. I mean, this is really shocking, you know, on the heels of Ontarians spending a holiday where they're told stay away from each other. Long-term care numbers are out of control in the province. We're told not to travel. There's a very clear message about that across this country. So I think it's very shocking, and certainly not hearing Doug Ford come out and make a comment about this when it's clear that all across social media, you know, they're really calling for either his resignation or that he steps down as the minister. This behavior is dangerous for Ontarians who are watching the numbers climb and are very concerned about their loved ones.
Not only the health aspect of this, one of the things I've been reading on social media today is the fact that he's the finance minister, and right now there are so many businesses that have been shuttered because of COVID-19 that this might cause him problems with the business owners that are out there looking to him for advice.
Small businesses across Ontario right now are in desperate shape, and you see it. We see it in all of our communities. They're really calling for some form of leadership. They're calling for support. Certainly, they want to receive those, but they're asking tough questions that they're not able to get any answers for because the legislature isn't sitting. We see important health decisions around the vaccine that we're not getting answers to as well. But to have a minister violate the rules in this way, you know, go off on a private vacation and then create this illusion that he's somehow here through this social media Twitter that they've now amended, apparently, is shameful. It sends a very backwards message to Ontarians, and it really shows where his commitment is. And it's certainly not along with Ontarians right now who are in their homes trying to follow the rules. And for the small businesses, the long-term care, all of the areas of quite frankly, emergency in our province right now, it shows a real disregard for that. And, you know, that's very, very I don't even want to use the word unfortunate. It's unacceptable, actually, that he's done this. And there has to be some type of response coming out of the government.
Okay, let me just play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Mr. Phillips left on December 13th, and the lockdown was announced more than a week later. Would that give him any leeway?
Hannah, we all saw the numbers and the way that we were trending. We could see the writing on the wall, knew what was happening in communities like Peel, like down here, Windsor, Essex, Toronto. There is no one who would sit at a cabinet table in Ontario right now that couldn't predict within days we would be in a massive lockdown in order to protect people. So, that's absolutely no excuse. And quite frankly, the essential travel rules were the same when he left. And, the fact that he comes out and says somehow, well, this was planned before, and if I had known, I would have pulled this back. Listen, Ontarians have been changing their plans for Christmas since September. So to say somehow that he wasn't aware or didn't know he should cancel these plans is absurd.
What do you think Premier Ford has to do now?
Well, a really strong message has to be sent right now. And, likely that's something as serious as calling for his resignation. It's saying that he can no longer stand as the Finance Minister of Ontario. We are in a very, very dangerous position with small businesses, as you said, long-term care that require funding as well. Lots of things are happening around this province that require the attention of a finance minister. And when a finance minister says to Ontarians, I'm going to go off on a vacation in the middle of a pandemic when Ontarians are being told to stay away, not to travel. We had the Premier come out and talk about Pearson, for goodness sakes, like less than a week ago, trying to shift the focus over to the feds and saying, we need to control international travel, when in the meantime, we now know that his own minister was actually out of country on a trip.
Is there anything Mr. Phillips can do when he gets back to save his job in your mind? He says he's going to do the 14-day quarantine, but is there anything he could do to save his job in your mind?
I think he's lost the trust of Ontarians. At this point, who can trust a finance minister to do the right thing, to flow money, to sit at a cabinet table that's making critical decisions about literally the lives of Ontarians right now and the livelihood of small businesses? He can't be trusted. And so I think, there's likely no coming back from this and nothing that he could do to change this. And the fact that still they're really not giving away any information on where he is. They're being secretive about that. The fact that there was, again, this illusion of a social media platform where he is pretending that he's in Ontario, that he's suffering along with Ontarians, that his heart goes out to people. I don't think there's much that can come back from this situation that he's created.
Okay, Tracy Ramsey, thank you for digging into this story with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Hannah.
Tracy Ramsey in Bell River, Ontario, former NDP member of Parliament.